Welcome to Spark Joy, the podcast dedicated to celebrating the KonMari method and the transformative power of surrounding yourself with joy and letting go of all the rest. With your hosts and certified KonMari consultants, Kristen Ivy and Karen Sochi. And now, here's the show.
Live from New York, it's Spark Joy.
Welcome to a very special edition of Spark Joy. Kristen and I were both in New York City recently at the same time, spending the weekend with certified KonMari consultants, incoming trainees, KonMari staff, and of course, the queen of tidy herself, Marie Kondo.
Exclusively for Spark Joy listeners, we are sharing special, joyful moments we captured during the Consultant Meetup Day when certified consultants and trainees gathered together in New York City from all over the world.
Marie Kondo did make multiple appearances throughout the weekend. What was really special is that she shared some statistics about the impact certified consultants have had on the world. We've officially logged over 12,000 tidying lessons, impacting 4,200 clients across 30 countries.
Incredible. We are so excited to give you rare access to the stories of joy behind all of these tidying hours, shared by those closely connected to the KonMari movement. And we have a special surprise for you at the end of this episode, a special twist on our favorite tidying tips. So stay tuned.
We're going to start with our conversation with Miho Armacost. Miho is Marie Kondo's executive personal assistant and community manager for the KonMari Consultant community. Miho and Marie have been friends for such a long time. Miho shared with us the impact that Netflix tidying up has had on the brand.
The whole weekend is all about training the next generation of consultants for the KonMari brand. And we're excited to welcome 110 here in New York. And then next weekend is going to be in London, another 110. And I want to share that we have probably close to 1,000 people waitlisted or interested in attending these certification courses from all over the world. Here at KonMari, we talk about pre-Netflix and post-Netflix because the world had changed since the launch of the Netflix show Tidying Up with Marie Kondo. And, the interest level from all over the world is just remarkable because it was aired, in 190 countries and so many languages. And it is just tremendous to see the growth of this concept and the philosophy and the idea and the fact that people can be trained to be able to spread this, idea in their own community, in their own languages and in their countries where the idea just was, not existent before.
We were also able to confirm that KonMari Media, the company itself, only takes on projects that spark joy.
It is so true. And even the, course venues and things like that, we walk in and we have to check and see if it sparks joy or not.
Next, we spoke with Christina Cheadle. She is KonMari Media Inc.'s Community and Events Manager. We've known Christina for 2 years now, and she is a true companion and advocate for the KonMari Consultant community. She's helped us navigate our certification as the KonMari organization grew and expanded, and was really invaluable because she was an advocate for our success. She is also in charge of the consultant certification training itself. So that's definitely no small task. So we're really appreciative of all of her hard work and support. Here's Christina.
I am so excited for this weekend. So we're doing a different format for our certification courses. This time around, we're making it 2 days and we're starting with a welcome mixer on Friday to really encourage that kind of community bonding time. And also the biggest change is that it's being led by certified consultants instead of a consultant brought over from Japan. And I think it's just amazing because the participants in the audience will be looking at instructors that were literally sitting in their seats 3 years ago. And I think it's going to be a really amazing experience. And our instructors, Patty, Marique and Elliot, and then Jenny will be joining that team. Jenny Hayes will be joining that team in London, are just phenomenal. And I cannot wait to see them show what they have.
Christina is unfortunately leaving her role at KonMari Media Inc. to pursue other passion projects in London. And she reflected on her journey with the team and the consultants.
I'm going out with a bang. These are these seminars or these certification courses are like my little babies that I'm kind of letting go into the world after this. So my last day is April 12th. I moved to London about 7 months ago, and I'm really just kind of going to finally move my professional life there as well. My work for KMI is really my last kind of string to America. And so I'm kind of cutting that. And it's been 2 years, and it's been a wonderful 2 years. It's been so much fun. So it's definitely a bittersweet ending. I'm excited to kind of move forward professionally and with my kind of new life in London, but I'm obviously sad to be leaving you all, which is why I was like, add me on Instagram and Facebook, consultants, I'm going to miss you. But it's amazing. I feel so lucky to be able to be, I feel like I'm a part of the consultant community without actually being a consultant. I'm really lucky to have this, connection with all of the consultants without actually being one. It's a very special relationship. So when I first joined, we had like 30 consultants, and now we have over 250 in 32 different countries. And it's been amazing to meet people, these kind of, I feel maybe like a teacher, like a teacher sees this little first grader on day one, and then you see them graduate high school, and you're just so proud. And so I see these fresh new participants come in, and then, a year and a half later, they have these thriving businesses, and I've just seen them grow and develop. And I'm like so proud of them. It's amazing.
Thank you, Christina. We really appreciate all of the hard work you've put into this process, and we wish you the best in the next phase of your journey.
We will definitely miss you, Christina. Next up, we reunited with our friends in the KonMari Consultant community at the WeWork Ballroom next to Bryant Park. They shared their stories about the impact KonMari has had on their lives. Caitlin Roberts is a master-level consultant based in Los Angeles. She not only runs her business, Minimize with Purpose, she also has made time in her busy life to serve as an evaluator, supporting the consultant community by reviewing practice reports and exams. She shares what originally drew her to the KonMari method.
I used to work in operations, and I myself was very overwhelmed by life, and I was on Pinterest. And I had this board, O&M, which stood for Organization and Minimalism, and I just liked to look at beautiful pictures, and it was relaxing to me. I had absolutely no intention of actually applying any of those tools to my own life, but I saw Marie's book, and in that same hour, I received an email saying that Marie was going on a book tour for Spark Joy, and I just thought it was very serendipitous. Then a friend reached out to me and said, we should go to this. And so I thought, okay, great. I am reading this book, and I just dove right in. And once I applied the method to my own life, everything pretty much changed.
We also had the pleasure of speaking to Elliot and Marie Kondo of Clarity Home Detox. These ladies are from Switzerland, and they exude so much joy and really embody the KonMari spirit. They had an important role throughout the entire weekend because they are training instructors. And not only are they sisters, but they are also twins. Here's more from Elliot and Marie.
I ran into the book because the book was a present. So it's actually my sister who's standing here who gave me the book as a present. So it's always a bit bizarre when you get such a book with such a title as a present. My ego was a bit like, what do you mean? Do I need to declutter? Am I messy? So I put it on my night table with all the books that were standing there full of dust. And it took me, I guess, a month or two to have the courage to open it. And when I did open it, I started to read it, and I felt something I had never felt before. I knew that this was going to change my life forever and for the best. So I started to read, and I was very eager to start, actually. And I finished it, and I started to declutter day and night while my daughter was asleep. And it changed everything. And I went on internet because I wanted to know who was that lady. And I Googled Marie Kondo, and it was like only a few websites would come up. And it was one website that said at the end, in very little, that said she has a school in Japan where she actually trains individual to become consultant. And that was when the light went on in my head, and I said, okay, that's my job. This is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And I emailed the school. No, I had to find a friend in Japan who could access her website, emailed her, and I got a very nice answer saying, you don't speak Japanese, we don't speak English, so wait. And I wait a few months, and then Elliot and I went to the Japan Society when she gave a conference. So yeah, I took my sister on the airplane and we went to New York. And at that time, I think you can talk now, but at that time, Elliot wasn't sure this was going to be her job. But then Mary appeared in the room with like lights around her and you can go on. So actually, as Marie said, I discovered the book and offered it to her. And I discovered it on social media. I think it was Instagram. And I don't know why. Now I understand why, but at that moment I was just attracted by the book. It didn't exist in Switzerland, so I ordered it online and it arrived and I read it. And I remember feeling like Marie, something special while reading it. And when I handed it over to her, I remember saying, there's something so special in this book. Like, I didn't even say it was for you, or I said, there's something so special. You have to read it. And it was actually the exact moment my now ex-partner was transferred from Switzerland to the Bahamas for his work. And I didn't feel cluttered. I thought I didn't feel cluttered. I, loved my living environment, etc., my home, but I hated the job I was doing. I knew I wanted to change, but I had no idea how I could change and what would I do. I knew the job I was doing, but I didn't know where I was going. So when he said, oh, you come with me and we moved to the Bahamas, I thought, perfect. Someone is taking the decision for me. It's great. And I told him, I just read a book from a Japanese author that teaches how to declutter. So I'm just going to apply the method and go from a 60-meter square apartment to just a few suitcases. And I did that. It helped me declutter my object, resell them, donate them. It helped me quit my job, even though I knew I didn't want to do it anymore. It was still difficult. It helped me let go of the lease of my apartment, even my cat, but now he's back in my life. I want to say he's back in my life. Don't be afraid. And I really arrived on this island, and I guess you can all picture the Bahamas, and I lived a perfect life. I had, a really nice and very successful partner. I had a huge mansion. I had a private beach for myself. I had a maid. I wasn't allowed to work, so I had a lot of time on my hands. And basically, I had a life that looked like a postcard. And I've never been as miserable as at that moment in my life. Because in French, actually, it's written on the cover of the book, life begins after you've tidied. And I just, I think my mind skipped that part and only used the technicality of the method. And I arrived there and I realized, oh my God, this method made me discovered one thing I was missing in my life, myself, and I didn't even know. I didn't know myself. And I was living the perfect life and was totally opposed to the values I discovered for myself. So looking around, everything sparked beauty, but it wasn't for me and it didn't spark joy. So this is when Marie called me and said, oh, Marie's going to be in New York at the Japan Society to meet some people that want to be consultant. The Bahamas is close to New York. Do you want to come with me? And I said, yes, I have some time. I will come with you. And we were sitting in that room and she entered, and anything she said about not the technicality of the method, but what it does in your life and how you can discover your true self, it was also calling. And that's when the light went on for me, when I actually met her and could feel her vibes that were completely aligned with mine. So I decided to go back to the Bahamas, discard the boyfriend with gratitude. Letting go of the boyfriend.
Letting go of the boyfriend, I should say, with a lot of gratitude, and came back to Switzerland. And a week later, we were in New York for the training, and that's when it all started.
The Stop sisters also talked about the joy of intentional living.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful to see all this and all the different culture and all the different stories. Yes, stories behind this, but then it all comes to one root, which is the joy and the choosing intentionally what you want in your life and what you want to surround yourself with. And this talks to actually everybody and every culture and every, how do you say, statue, whatever you come from, whatever level you come from. Whatever your background is, we don't care. It's about you and having the option to choose joy. And it's so empowering for the people. And I think we miss this in the world, actually. We are layered up with so much stuff that we forget the joy.
What a powerful story. They did an amazing job as instructors. I was so impressed by all of the instructors, how they really elevated the training in a way that is going to have a lasting impact on the KonMari consultant community. The Staub sisters joined instructor Patty Morrissey, who is a seasoned KonMari consultant from New York, and Caitlin Roberts from LA led the certification process discussion. They did an awesome job, and they served as shining examples for our trainees. So keep up the great work, ladies.
Next up, we chatted with Ivanka from Canada, who is founder of the Tidy Moose. Ivanka reflected on her KonMari journey and how the KonMari process has impacted her life.
I used to be an elementary school teacher, and I was always very tidy in the classroom, and I knew that I was witnessing the correlation between organization and developmental growth. So it started to be something that I practiced in the classroom, just in terms of decluttering. And then a teacher gave me Marie's book as a joke, because she's like, oh, the life-changing magic of tidying up. It's like, this book was meant for you. Ha ha ha. And I read the book because it was a free book, and it was a month before the first ever conference. So as I was Googling her, literally the moment that I was Googling her, they opened up the first course. And I said, oh, this is like, New York's a 45-minute flight. I can do this. Let's figure it out. And I did it, and the rest is history. So it was a fluke, but not a fluke. I believe that everything is meant to be, and I think this was one of those things.
Ivanka has developed 2 amazing resources under her brand, one for adults and one for children.
I have a more of an adult book that I published a year ago, and then a children's book that I came out with a few months ago. So that one is kind of guiding children to want to take accountability for their own actions and the responsibility for tidying themselves, really, because everything a child does is a learned skill. So if we don't teach them, how can we expect them to put things away when we nag and yell at them if they don't know how to do it? So the first one is a lengthy one. It's called Declutter Your Way to Health, Wealth, and Freedom. And the other one is called The Tidy Moose. It's about a moose named Merle.
Next up, all the way from Mexico City, we have KonMari consultant Pilar Fernandez with Neat Edit, who leads KonMari Workshops with her partner, Anna. They shared the importance of communicating the essence of the method and decoding the cultural differences in Mexico.
Mostly what we're doing now in Mexico, because it has been challenging, because our culture is so different. We have spaces, people have help. So what we're doing is workshops. That the first one we're focusing now, it's on the first category, it's on the clothes category, and it's called So Many Clothes and Nothing to Wear. And we're very happy because I think we're getting onto people on their mindsets and living more consciously, and also tidying their spaces. So it's been a great experience. Anna is right here with me.
Hi, I'm Anna. My business name is just my name, annabesori.com. I've been working with Pili for 2 months. I'm also a green certified consultant. And it's been great doing these workshops because the in-home consulting has been challenging in Mexico. So the workshops have been a way to communicate the importance of this method and the essence of the message that we want to communicate. It's been the most efficient way to do it. And it's challenging because of the cultural differences, but it's also so different that people are very curious about the method. And that's been awesome. Like, people are genuinely asking questions and trying the method, and that's very nice. I think it's going to take a while still, but it's getting there.
Next up, we had the pleasure of ushering in the second generation of Tidy. We spoke to 2 trainees, one of whom is 21 and one of whom is only 15.
We'll start with Brenna Kincaid, a trainee from Charlotte, North Carolina, who is a big fan of Spark Joy. She's listened to over 70 episodes of our podcast. So a big shout out to Brenna for sticking with us that long. Here's Brenna and her KonMari story.
As a child, I actually wanted to be a professional organizer. A lot of people haven't remembered this show until I came here to this seminar and I found many kindred spirits. But there used to be a show called Clean Sweep. Yes, and it was my absolute favorite. When other kids were watching cartoons, I was all about Clean Sweep. And so at that time, professional organizing still wasn't very big. I don't feel like it was really widely understood by most people yet. So after Clean Sweep finished, I got really interested in hoarders. And to speed along the process, I got interested in psychology. So now I'm a mental health counselor. And I right now primarily work with children ages 3 through 18. So I do play therapy as well as talk therapy. And I found myself sort of questioning what my hobbies were. My husband always joked that I don't have any hobbies, that I'm always doing things for other people. And I thought about it, and I was like, I'm always looking for before and after photos in my spare time. And I love organizing, I love reading about that. And I would like to fulfill this childhood dream of mine. So I'd read the KonMari book, like right when it came out, and I was probably 20 or 21, and I couldn't imagine paying for it at the time. And then sort of a few years later, I really felt like I want to value that part of myself and fulfill that childhood dream and see what comes of it. So that's what brought me here. I really felt like after going through being a mental health counselor that I realized the depth of KonMari for the first time when I reread it, because I recognized everything that she does is based on feeling, and that is lasting change, right? So, and what I'm doing in the counseling is helping people let go emotionally of what's not serving them and thinking about who they want to be and helping them move towards that. And so KonMari to me is a tangible version of that, in a way that feels like a natural extension for me to explore.
Thank you, Brenna. And last but not least, we spoke to Maria Kondo from Seattle, who is only 15 years old. It was just amazing to meet someone so young. She was so poised and so confident in her journey. Here's Maria's KonMari story.
Ever since I first discovered the book and my mom put the book into my hands and was like, please read this. I think you need help. You have too much stuff. You're such a pack rat. And I completely fell in love with the KonMari method and decluttering and organizing and that whole genre of things to do, I guess. I'd helped a few people that were like, oh, I see that you're interested in this. Can you help me, possibly, do a little bit in my room? And I did it for one friend, and then over Christmas, we spent Christmas with my dad's side of the family, and I had an aunt who had an excess amount of clothing. It was more than she thought that she wanted in her life, and she was like, do you want to help me do this thing? And she lives in Maine, and we spent 3 full days completely going through all of her stuff. And by the end of it, she was like, oh my gosh, you're so this is so fun, and you really seem to enjoy doing it. Do you want to see if there's some certification course or something that you can do to do this as a side job to make money to pay for college? And we looked it up and we found this KonMari certification course. And initially when I saw that it was in New York, I was like, oh, well, not happening. I live in Seattle. But she ended up persuading my parents to do it, and it happened, and I'm here now. There's so many branches of minimalism-y type things out there. I think what's the most unique about it is it's not about getting rid of the stuff that you don't want. It's about keeping the stuff that you want. So it has much more positive outlook as opposed to you don't use this, get rid of it. It's more this thing makes you feel so happy when you wear it. You should wear it more and make room for it so that you can continue to wear that thing that you enjoy, as opposed to wasting time with other things that are just blocking the way for you to utilize this thing that you truly love.
The question, does it spark joy, is a simple one, but not so easy to execute alone. Extend your tidying experience by joining the Spark Joy Club, our online community filled with our clients, fellow listeners, and KonMari enthusiasts ready to support your journey.
If you find yourself buried under clothing, stuck on storage, or pointing fingers at untidy housemates or family members, we want to help you finish your tidying journey once and for all.
Support the show at the Joy Riser level and receive access to our exclusive virtual community, as well as the Tidy Home Joy Journal, your #1 tidying companion.
Visit sparkjoypodcast.com and click on Join the Club to get started. And now back to the show.
Wow, Maria is so impressive. I mentioned to her, if I had the KonMari mindset at 15, I'd be Beyonce at this point in my life. Really. Like, there were two 15-year-olds who attended this year's training, and we were also reminded by Marie Kondo herself that she started tidying up at the age of 15 as well. Congratulations to Brenna and Maria for completing the certified consultant training, and we wish you the best as you begin your practice hours.
So we will wrap up this very special episode of Spark Joy with an extended version of our favorite tidying tips from certified KonMari consultants Heather Young, Caitlin Roberts, Ivanka Siolovsky, and Pilar Fernandez.
My favorite tidying tip is to use white blankets or sheets on the floor, especially during the komono, because as you take things out of their place that you usually keep them and put them on the floor on a clean slate, the white blanket, it gives you a different perspective, and you can evaluate each individual item for how it really makes you feel. Not just, oh, I need this and it's always been here in this spot for me. But to take it out of the context and put it on a blank slate is a wonderful way to evaluate something.
Establishing where in your home your personal sanctuary lives. So the place where you put a few of your favorite items, and no matter how many people live in your home and how crazy it gets, you know that that's your spot and that's your spot of joy.
I think one of the things that I love, I guess, most about this method is the practicing of gratitude. So no matter what you are tidying, always remember to practice gratitude, because that will change your mindset moving forward. Because a lot of the problem is how we consume items in the first place. That is the foundation of why we get so cluttered. So once we practice gratitude and are appreciative of the things we have, we will not want for more. And then in that is how we can move forward in any category.
It doesn't have to be perfect. I was always very organized person and looked for perfection, but not, how do I say it? You have to seek for perfection because you want to do your best and that the space looks very great. But I have 4 children. And when the first one, I wouldn't go to sleep without his toys perfect, you know? And then I became more relaxed. I want things in order and they have a place, but it's impossible to have that because you're going to be fighting. And I think you have to get advantage of this order, but live with balance. So perfection, you have to seek it, but it doesn't matter if you don't get it. Always try to do your best, but finding a balance in life.
So now we want to hear from you. Tell us your burning tidying questions or share stories about how KonMari has impacted your life.
You can head over to Apple Podcasts to subscribe and review the show, which helps us reach others along their tidying journeys.
To extend your tidying experience, you can join the Spark Joy Club.
Visit sparkjoypodcast.com and click Join the Club to become a member of the Spark Joy community, or you can join us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Thanks for tuning in, and we hope your day sparks joy.
Thank you for listening to Spark Joy with your hosts Kristen Ivy of For the Love of Tidy in Chicago and Karen Sochi of The Serene Home in New York City. Spark Joy, the podcast, is not endorsed by or affiliated with KonMari Media, Inc. The opinions expressed on this episode represent the views of the co-hosts and guests alone and do not represent the corporate position of KonMari Media, Inc. or the KonMari Consultant community.